Hello guys, today we will see next lesson 2, The Adventures of Toto. Here the writer's grandfather liked to collect animals and had a zoo at home. Once he bought a monkey named Toto from a Tonga driver for a sum of rupees 5. So here we start the lesson. Grandfather bought Toto from a Tonga driver for the sum of rupees 5. The Tonga driver used to keep the little red monkey tied to a feeding trough, and the monkey looked so out of place there that grandfather decided he would add the little fellow to his private zoo. Now here, grandfather bought a monkey named Toto from a Tonga driver for the sum of rupees 5. Then Toto was a pretty monkey. His bright eyes sparkled with mischief beneath deep set eyebrows, and his teeth, which were a pearly white, were very often displayed in a smile that frightened the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies. But his hands looked dried up as though they had been pickled in the sun for many years. Yet his fingers were quick and wicked, and his tail, while adding to his good looks. Grandfather believed a tail would add to anyone's good looks. Also served as the third hand. He could use it to hang from a branch, and it was capable of scooping up any delicacy that might be out of reach of his hand. So here, Toto was kept secretly as the grandmother disliked animals, and Toto was a pretty monkey, and his bright eyes sparkled, and it looks mischief beneath deep eyebrows set, and his teeth were pearly white and displayed in a smile, and that also frightened the life out of elderly Anglo-Indian ladies. And yet his fingers were quick and wicked. It looks wicked, like it had been pickled in the sun for many years, and also served as, and his tail is very good while adding to his good looks. He could also use it hang from a branch, and it also capable to scooping up the delicacy when the delicacy is out of reach of his hand. Grandmother always fussed when grandfather brought home some new bird or animal, so it was decided that Toto's presence should be kept a secret from her until she was in a particularly good mood. Grandfather and I put him away in a little closet opening into my bedroom wall, where he was tied securely, so we thought, to a peg fastened into the wall. So here Toto was kept secretly as the grandmother disliked animal, and Toto was very mischievous. When the writer and his grandfather hid Toto in a cupboard, and it tied him to a hook into the wall. A few hours later, when grandfather and I came back to release Toto, we found that the wall, which had been covered with some ornamental paper chosen by grandfather, now stood out as naked brick and plaster. The peg in the wall had been wrenched from its socket, and my school blazer, which had been hanging there, was in shred. And here, what he did, a few hours later, when they both came back to release Toto, what they found, that wallpaper is now taken away, and then the peg in the wall had been wrenched out, had been pulled out from the, what is peg? Peg is the hook, there we tied the animals, that is peg, and that is already pulled out from the socket. And school blazer also was hanging there, had now in was in shred. I wondered what grandmother would say, but grandmother didn't worry, he seemed pleased. Grandfather didn't worry, he seemed pleased with Toto's performance. He seemed pleased with the Toto's performance, means he seemed happy with that performance of Toto. So here, he's clever, He's clever, said grandfather. Given time, I'm sure he could have tied the torn pieces of your blazer into the rope and made him escape from the window. So what they are, see here, Toto was very mischievous, and grandfather hid Toto in the cupboard and tied him to a hook, and he broke the hook and caused havoc in the room. And after that, the next day when he was kept in the servants room, what had happened then? See here, his presence in the house still a secret. Toto was now transferred to a big cage in the servants quarter where a number of grandfather's pet lived very sociably together: a tortoise, a pair of rabbits, a tame squirrel, and for a while my pet got. But the monkey wouldn't allow any of the companions to sleep at night, so grandfather, who had to leave Dehradun next day to collect his pension in Saharanpur, decided to take him along. Now, Toto was now kept in the next day. He kept in the servants' room where the other animals are also living very sociably, and so where the animals are the tortoise, the pair of rabbits, the a tame squirrel, and goat. So monkey wouldn't allow, but the monkey wouldn't allow any companion to sleep at night. Now grandfather, who had to leave Dehradun next day, he took monkey along with to take him along to Saharanpur to collect pension. Unfortunately, I could not accompany grandfather on that trip, but he told me about it afterward. A big black canvas kit bag was provided for Toto. This, with some straw at the bottom, became his new abode. When the bag was closed, there was no escape, and Toto could not get his hands through the opening, and the canvas was too strong for him to bite his way through. His efforts to get out only had the effect of making the bag roll about on the floor or occasionally jump into the air, an exhibition that attracted a curious crowd of onlookers on the Dehradun railway platform. So here they made uh, provide a bag only for Toto, with some straw at the bottom, and just kept Toto into in that bag, and Toto could not get his hand through his opening, and the canvas is too strong to bite him with his teeth, and his efforts to get out had effect of making bag roll and just jump into the air occasionally, an exhibition that attracted curious crowd onlookers in Dehradun railway platform. So he carried Toto in a strong bag made of canvas and closed the zip nicely to that Toto could not escape. And now Toto made unsuccessful attempt to get out of the bag, which made the bag jump and roll. So there is a curiosity of fellow passengers at the railway station, at the Saharanpur railway station, when grandfather was getting onto. Toto remained in the bag as far as Saharanpur, but while grandfather was producing his ticket at the railway turnstile, Toto suddenly poked his head out of the bag and gave the ticket collector a wide grin. What's the meaning of turnstile? Turnstile is the rotating door at the railway station, and grin is a smile, wide smile. Here, Toto remained in the bag as far as Saharanpur, and then at the Saharanpur railway station, when grandfather was getting his ticket checked, Toto peeked out of his bag and smiled at the ticket collector. And then the poor man was taken aback, but with great presence of mind and much of grandfather's annoyance, he said, "Sir, you have a dog with you. You will have to pay for it accordingly." So what he said, when Toto peeked out of the bag and smiled at the ticket collector, as the ticket collector declared that it was a dog, and grandfather had to buy a ticket for 3 rupees, much to his annoyance. Now, in vain did grandfather take Toto out of the bag. In vain did he try to prove that a monkey did not qualify as a dog or even as a quadruped. Toto was classified a dog by the ticket collector, and 3 rupees was the sum handed over his fare. Now grandfather had to give 3 rupees as the fare of that, he proved monkey as a dog. So when Toto was grandfather had to buy a ticket for rupees 3 rupees for Toto. And now then grandfather, just to get his own bag, took from his pocket from our pet tortoise and said, what must I pay for this, since you charge for all animals? Then grandfather took a tortoise from his pocket and asked ticket checker that what should I pay for this animal, because you are charging for all animals. Then ticket collector looked closely at the tortoise, prodded it with his forefinger, gave grandfather a pleased and triumphant look and said, no charge, it is not a dog. So after looked closely on the tortoise, prodded with his forefinger, and then grandfather pleased and ticket collector said that no charge, it is not a dog. It's proof that it is not a dog, so it should not be charged. When Toto was finally accepted by grandmother, he was given a comfortable home in the stable, where he had for a companion the family donkey Nana. There is a donkey called named Nana. On Toto's first night in the stable, grandfather paid him a visit to see if he was comfortable. To his surprise, he found Nana without apparent cause pulling at her halter and trying to keep her head as far as possible from the bundle of hay. So here, Toto's first night in the stable, grandfather paid him a visit that whether they are comfortable or not. So to his surprise, what he found that Nana, without apparent cause, he is pulling himself from the halter. Halter is the rope tied by the rope, that is a halter, and try to keep as far as possible from the bundle of hay. And then grandfather gave Nana a slap across his haunches and she jerked back, dragging Toto with her. He had fastened on to her long ears with his sharp teeth. So what they did here, when Toto was accepted, and he has given a place in the stable along with the donkey Nana, and Toto annoyed here Nana got annoyed by and he's just pulling her halter, try to keep away from the bundle of hay, and here grandfather gave Nana a slap across her haunches and then jerked back, dragging Toto with her, and he had fastened onto her long ears by pulling her long ears with a sharp teeth. He make him uncomfortable in the stable. Toto and Nana never became friends. A great treat for Toto during cold winter evening was the large bowl of warm water given him by grandmother for his bath. He would cunningly test the temperature with his hand and then gradually stepped into the bath, first one foot then the other, as he had seen me doing this, until this was into the water up to his neck. So after that, Toto was here Toto enjoyed taking bath in warm water during the winter season. One day he just got a bowl of hot water, warm water for bathing. Once comfortable, he could take a soap in his hand or feet and rub himself all over, and then he would just take a soap and rub his feet and all over the body. When the water became cold, he could get out and run as quickly as he could to the kitchen fire in order to dry himself. And if anyone laughed at him during this performance, Toto's feelings would be hurt and he would refuse to go on with his bath. Then one day Toto nearly succeeded in boiling himself alive. So what had happened for that? A large kitchen kettle had been left on the fire to boil for tea, and Toto, finding himself with nothing better to do, decided to remove the lid of that kettle, and finding the water just warm enough for a bath, he got into that kettle, and with his head sticking out from the open kettle, head is out of the kettle and he is in the kettle, inside the kettle, and this was just fine for a while, and until the water began to boil. Toto then raised himself a little, but finding it cold outside, and then he just sat down in the kettle. He continued hopping up and down for some time until grandmother arrived and hauled himself half boiled out of the kettle. And grandmother just hauled himself out of the kettle and half boiled Toto is out of the kettle. If there is a part of the brain especially devoted to mischief, that part was largely developed in Toto, because Toto is very mischievous. He was always tearing things to pieces. Whenever one of my aunts came near him, he made every effort to get hold of her dress and tear a hole in it. And after that, one day at lunchtime, a large dish of pulao stood in the center of the dining table. We entered the room to find Toto stuffing himself with rice. And my grandmother screamed, and Toto threw a plate on her, and one of my aunt rushed forward and received a glass of water in the face. And when grandfather arrived, Toto picked up the dish of pulao and made his exit through a window. We found him in the branches of the jackfruit tree and the dish still in his arms. And he remained there all afternoon, eating slowly through the rice, determined on finishing every grain. And then, in order to spite grandmother, who had screamed at him, he threw the dish down from the tree and chattered with delight when it broke into the 100 pieces. See, one afternoon, when Toto ate the family meal of pulao, he threw the empty dish from the tree and it broke into the several pieces. And Toto's mischiefs grew by the day, and grandfather realized that he could not keep. Now the grandfather realized about the Toto is not fit for his family. Obviously, Toto was not the sort of pet we could keep for long. Even grandfather realized that we were not well to do and could not afford the frequent loss of dishes, clothes, curtains, and wallpaper. So grandfather found the Tonga driver and sold Toto back to him for only 3 rupees. Now here, when grandfather realized that they could not keep him at home, finally he found same Tonga driver and sold Toto back to him for the sum of 3 rupees. So here, this is the story by Ruskin Bond. Thank you for watching, guys. Like, share and subscribe my channel.